7 years after breaking up, I accidentally met Lu Jia. He our mentor's birthday banquet. Times had changed. He was tall, noble and handsome with a beautiful girlfriend by his side, while I was shabby in old, faded clothes, looking awkward and out of place. At the banquet, the classmates chatted animatedly, knowing that Lu Jia he would come. Their eyes fell on me from time to time. The door was pushed open, and he stepped in. After 7 years, he had lost his youthful innocence and become more mature and dazzling. I accidentally met his gaze, my heart tightened, and I quickly lowered my head. Someone teased me, Zhou Ying. You studied photography after all. Why are you still so shabby? I clenched my cup and remained silent. The topic soon turned to Lu Jia. Someone praised his latest short film for being shortlisted and asked about his secret to success. He smiled faintly and handled the social interactions flawlessly. Someone joked and asked if he had taken photos of so many beautiful women. Was there anyone who caught his eye? His hand holding the water cup paused slightly, and he said with a half-minded smile, "Too busy. Didn't have time to pay attention." Lin Xiu, my rival in love, suddenly spoke up, deliberately mentioning the time when we both chased Lu Jia at school. Finally, she looked at me. Her tone provocative. Jia, what exactly do you see in her? Everyone's eyes wandered between us, waiting to see a joke. Lu Jia he put down his water cup, glanced at me inferently, and said coldly, "I can't remember." The surroundings fell silent instantly. Lin Xiu was stunned for a moment, then laughed mockingly. She then turned her gaze to my coat and deliberately asked how many years I had worn it, pretending to care why I laughed. I replied softly, "Tong Shu," and she pretended to praise my simplicity. But her words were full of showing off. My senior sister leaned over and whispered to comfort me, saying that Lu Jia he might have really forgotten. After 7 years, most men were like that. I bowed my head to peel shrimp, but tasted nothing once upon a time. Lu Jia he would peel boiled shrimp for me every day and hand them to my mouth. But now he said he couldn't remember. 7 years ago, Lu Jia, he was the most special person in the department. Born into a scholarly family, he had an air of elegance, and he shone brightly when holding a camera. My family was fairly well minus off, and I chased him so eagerly that the whole department knew about it. Even though he refused me many times, I never gave up. Until his award was taken by someone else. I searched all channels to find countless film exhibition information and stuffed it into his hands. Looking at my stubborn appearance, he gently ruffled my hair and said, "Silly girl." And an evening, he stopped, turned around and held my hand, his ears blushing. "You're too noisy." I thought I had finally warmed this ice-cold man. But after we got together, I realized that there was a wall between us. My enthusiasm seemed out of place in his quiet world. My roommate advised me that a merchant's daughter could hardly enter a noble family, but I didn't believe it. Until my father gambled and borrowed usury, then ran away. The debt collectors came to the door, took indecent photos, and forced me to repay my father's debt. My world collapsed completely. I didn't dare let Lu Jia know, so I had to ask him to meet at the place where we held hands for the first time, lied that I was tired of it, and proposed to break up. He stared at me for a long time and only said one word, "Okay," neatly and neatly. The next day, I applied for suspension of school, broke my phone card, fled the city with my mother, and threw myself into the editing room, working day and night to repay the endless interest. In 7 years, it was enough for Lu Jia he to stand on the cloud. More glorious, it was also enough for me to lose all my light and become dim. He said he couldn't remember, which was fine, so we were even. After the banquet, I wanted to avoid the crowd through the fire escape, but I ran into Lu Jia he at the door. He leaned against the wall smoking, and when he saw me, he immediately put out the cigarette and called me. I wanted to run, but he grabbed my arm. It was the same back then. Chasing me whenever you wanted, running away whenever you wanted. "Zhou Ying, what do you take me for?" His tone was full of restraint, losing all his composure. My throat tightened. I wanted to say sorry, to say the difficulties back then, but I couldn't say a word, only whispered, let's let the past go. We can't let it go. He held my wrist tightly, about to ask further, when a girl in an exquisite cashmere dress walked over. It was Zhu Yan. She naturally took Lu Jiahe's arm and smiled, brother Jiahe, and asked me to pick you up. We are getting engaged next month, Miss Shaw, you should come too. I was stunned. Lu Jiahe frowned and said coldly, Miss Shaw is busy. It's okay if you don't come. I forced myself to calm down. Squeezed out a smile. Sorry, I have to go back to my husband's hometown next month. Lu Jiahe suddenly raised his head. His voice died. Are you married? Yes, for several years. Marriage. Didn't have time to in from everyone. He stared at me, his eyes deep, as if something was broken. He didn't say anything else, turned around and left with Zhu Yan. After returning from my husband Zhu Chen's hometown, my senior sister slapped a contract on the table, her eyes shining. Lu Jiahe's series of short films specifically asked you to do the editing, and you have to be on Minus site. Twice the market price. My hand shook, and coffee spilled on the keyboard. Being on Minus site meant facing him countless times, and having to restrain the feelings in my heart, but I didn't want to make my senior sister difficult, so I finally agreed. 3 days later, I flew to the southwest with Lu Jiahe's team. On the plane he sat diagonally in front of me, his back still thin and straight. The assistant came over and asked me to move to the front row to coordinate work. He glanced at me, his tone cold. The script will be sent to you by the assistant. The shooting starts tomorrow, keep up with the progress. Then he asked in a low voice, what's your husband's name? Is he good to you? I forced myself to be calm. Zhu Chen, he's good. He stared at the plaster on my hand, his tone sarcastic. Letting you edit day and night is being good to you. Xiaoying, can you be more careful when lying? On the plane, I dreamed of the scene of being chased by debt collectors. When I woke up, I was covered in sweat. Lu Jiahe handed me a tissue with this faint cold fragrance. He suddenly said the signal at the southwest location is not good. No one will chase you. I clenched the tissue, my heart warm. He probably knew all along. Knew why I ran back then, knew how hard I had been these years. During the On Minus Sites day, I had to rush to finish Lu Jiahe's film and take care of other clients' orders, often staying up late until midnight. One early morning, the client called and demanded that the film be completely reworked with a harsh tone. Just after hanging up the phone, Lu Jiahe walked in his pajamas. Seeing the cold coffee on the table and the plaster on my hand, he looked unhappy. I paid you a lot of money, but you stay up late to do other people's orders. Xiaoying, are you that short of money? I remained silent, but he directly dialed the client's phone, took over the film firmly, asked the other party to send the revision opinions to himself, and promised to deliver the final version the next afternoon. After hanging up the phone, he looked at me. Can you sleep now? I bowed my head, not daring to look at him, afraid that tears would fall. He sighed, turned to leave, then turned back, holding a tube of ointment. Give me your hand. He gently tore off the plaster on my hand, looked at my tenisopianatives, and applied the medicine gently. I suddenly asked, won't your fiancé be angry? His hand paused. Zhu Yan is not my fiancé. That's what both parents think. I didn't agree. I was stunned, and he said again, Xiaoying, are you jealous? I looked up into his red eyes, and he said softly, it's been 7 years. Do you think you're the only one who's had a hard time? He walked to the computer and turned on the screen. My screensaver was still the photo we took by the sea 7 years ago. That was our only trip. The day after taking the photo, my father had an accident. I deleted all the photos except this one to remind myself of what I once had. Your computer screensaver is still the photo from back then, he said in a hoarse voice. You told me you're married. Does your husband know? He also mentioned that back then by the sea, the words I wrote on the beach were washed away by the waves, and he never saw them clearly. I asked him what he wrote, and he was about to speak when his phone rang, so he had to handle work first. Before leaving, he looked at me. Zhao Ying, can you keep pestering me? Keep pestering me. At that moment, I couldn't help but think greedily that maybe he liked me back then. At this time my phone rang. The name Zhu Chen on the screen pulled me back to reality like a curse. Lujia, he let go of me, his eyes dim. In fact, Zhu Chen and I were only husband and wife in name. A year ago, my mother was seriously ill, and I was heavily in debt. Zhu Chen lent me 400 Zoro yuan and proposed a fake marriage. His grandmother was seriously ill and wanted to see him get married. After his grandmother passed away, we would get a divorce. Now, the divorce schooling minus off period was almost over, and he called to remind me to get the divorce certificate. The news that I was in the Southwest spread. Song Tang, my college roommate, added me on WeChat and invited me to her wedding. At the wedding, Song Tang held my hand, her eyes red, and told me that after I left, Lujia, he searched for everyone who knew me, went to my house to find me, and when he couldn't find me, he sat at my door and cried for an afternoon. After that, he worked hard and never fell in love again. I held the comb, my knuckles white, and my heart was filled with complex emotions. During the bouquet throwing session, the bouquet passed over me and fell into Lujia, his hands behind the crowd. He walked through the crowd, came towards me, held out the bouquet. Zhao Ying, take it. I declined. I'm married. But he insisted, take it first, I'll wait for you to get divorced. His voice was deep and firm, and I almost felt he was still the one I liked. At the bonfire dinner in the evening, I quietly left. At the village entrance, I ran into Lucia. He pulled me into the car. The car was very quiet. I looked at the stars all over the sky, and tears couldn't help falling. He stopped the car, wanted to wipe my tears, but I dodged. Song Tang told me you went to find me. I said, trembling, lie. Why didn't you tell me earlier? He asked in a low voice. What if I told you? Would you have stayed? When you left back then, you didn't leave a single word. I cried and defended myself, saying I thought he was just soft-hearted. Thought he was annoyed by me. But he interrupted me. I also thought you were just playing around, getting tired of me after chasing me. That night, I drank too much, rambling about many grievances. He listened patiently and comforted me gently. The next morning, I woke up wearing his white shirt, and there was a note from him on the bedside table. I went to the set. Don't run around. I received a message from Zhu Chen, saying that Lucia, he had repaid all the money he lent me back then, and also thanked him for taking care of me. I looked at the screen, my heart filled with mixed emotions. He bought my time, didn't let me take other orders, repaid my debts. What exactly did he want? During breakfast, Zhu Yan came on to accuse me in public, saying I had ruined Lucia, saying I had come back to cheat money. Lucia, he appeared in time, told Zhu Yan to leave with a cold face, then sat opposite me and pushed the milk over. Drink it. I asked him why he repaid my debts even though he knew I was married. He looked at me and said softly, I know you married him not because you liked him, but because he helped you repay your debts, treated your illness, and arranged your mother's funeral. He also said that Zhu Chen told him that I worked 18 hours a day, but only earned enough to pay the interest, that I didn't cry in front of my mother's spirit, but cried all night holding him once when I was drunk, calling his name all the time. The bracelet on your hand is still the one I gave you 7 years ago. You never took it off. He reached out and wiped my tears. Zhao Ying, I want you, will you? I held his sleeve, cried so hard I couldn't speak, and nodded. The day I met Lucia, his mother, I was extremely nervous. His mother was very gentle, smiled and said, I don't blame you for running away, but you have to promise me that you won't run away again. This child is stubborn. Once he identifies someone, he won't let go no matter what. My eyes turned sour and I solemnly promised I won't. Later, the wedding video I edited for Song Tang became popular online with millions of views. Some platforms came to sign me, asking me to make documentaries full minus time. When I hesitated, Lucia, he called live video and encouraged me. Before, you worked to live, now you work for what you like. This is where you should shine. He also smiled and said, "What's mine is yours. Just call me husband, and I'll give you my life." In the video, a villager asked him if he was talking to his wife, and he smiled and said yes. I hung up the phone, touched the ring engraved with Y-I-N-G-H-E on my hand, and the corners of my mouth raised unconsciously. After 7 years apart, going round and round, we finally returned to each other.